Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest Sky F1 Vodcast, and it is a VE Day special. There we go, Johnny. You've not got the Union Jack with you. I was hoping to bring a tricolor along too for our French friends across the channel, because I'm delighted to say that joining us are Esteban Ocon and Cyril Abiteboul from Renault. Guys, how are you? How are you keeping? And where are you? I was just going to say, are there some bottles of Burgundy in the back there, Cyril?
You're a liar. You can't see any Burgundy from where I am, but you're well documented indeed. I am. Hi everyone. Hi Simon. Hi Johnny. I'm indeed in Burgundy from a remote place in the countryside where I'm observing my own lockdown and shutdown at the same time since a few weeks now. Since we're back from Melbourne, really 7 weeks. Life ago, so that's where life has been, and life has been good. If I'm fair, given the circumstance, given what a number of people are experiencing, but yeah, so can't complain. But busy days still, despite with all that's going on in our world.
Yeah. What about you, Esteban? Where are you holed up for the moment?
Yeah. Well, I'm surviving. Let's say it's starting to get pretty long, of course, but. It's best for everyone. We're on lockdown since the beginning with my family. I decided to join here in Normandy. Everyone, I think it's important to be close to your loved ones at those difficult times, and that's what I did. So we are all healthy, and that's the most important at the moment.
Yeah. What about you, Cyril? What have you been up to? What interests have you found? Have you got any new interests you found in this lockdown?
No, I wished. I dreamed to have. I'm reading those people, who managed to read all the books that they wanted to do, or go through go deep dive into a director in movies. But absolutely none of that. I'm very lucky to have two very young daughters and Formula One. So that's actually two things that are very high demanding in terms of time and workload. Two factories also to look after, even though those two factories are not doing much. Right now, still, it's a lot of questions to be addressed. What do we do with the staff? Lockdown, shutdown, unemployment, furlough, all of that. That was the first wave of being very busy, and now we're starting to see the light. Plus all of the discussions with my friends from kindergarten. I'm not talking about the daughters, but I'm talking about the other TPs and FIA and Formula One, and doing good things, I hope, for the sport. So. No new hobby, I'm afraid.
No. What about? I won't go to Esteban, but I'll come to you first. Where did all this start off with motorsport or F1? We all love F1, but where did it start for you? Was it always a dream to get to F1, or was it in another direction originally?
I know the risk I'm taking of not being very popular, but no, let's be honest, it was not a particular dream. I love Formula One, but just like I love a number of sports, I love, I guess, first and foremost, cars. I love cars. I mean, as an object, I find cars absolutely beautiful, inspiring. It's really a crossroad of technology, of what man is capable of doing, of lifestyle, but also beautiful object, and something that provides emotions. I love sports also. Actually, more sports that you can do outside and not when you're locked down. Things like windsurfing, skateboarding. Things that are a bit, dangerous, that are an expression of yourself and also of an attitude, not just result-driven, but also the way that you get there, the risk that you accept taking, the gamble also that sometimes you take. And but Formula One has always been there, a bit as a backdrop of my life. To be honest, I didn't have a father or an uncle or grandfather that was passionate about Formula One. But it comes that I was alone as a child. Didn't have any brother. My parents were also separated, and spending a bit of time on Sundays watching that every weekend. And that was a backdrop to my life, to be honest. And just like automotive was changing, Formula One was changing. I was changing with it, and it's something that was always in the back of my mind. And at some point, it happened that I was given the opportunity to get in contact with that backdrop. With that stage, let's put it this way, of my childhood, and that's how it started. And get used to it, and getting the opportunity to meet the people, because Formula One is a sport, but it's also a number of people and fascinating people and characters in that small little paddock fantastic egos, and that's what I probably love more than anything about this sport.
Do you know what? The beauty of these podcasts is that we get to spend a bit more time, getting into, deep diving into your situations, your love of motorsport. And of course, two Frenchmen here, both with a love of motorsport. But that's interesting to hear from your side, Cyril, that you had a love of other sports, whatever it might have been. What about for you, Esteban? Growing up, I mean, we hear all the time about your karting, but was it always tunnel vision towards that, or you got a big fan of other sports too?
No, it was definitely always Formula One on my side. When you are a kid, normally you want to be astronaut, then a month later you want to be a footballer, or I don't know, whatever, a cooker, or something like that. But it's always been for me Formula One. That was the only thing I was saying in school. I want to become a Formula One driver. And I think the competition in karting just didn't make it different. It was always trying to get that victory in karting, and always trying to do the best. So it always stayed like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with you all talk about some of you guys. It's such an early start, isn't it, now into the process? It's like in football, the guys get picked up when they're sort of 7 or 8. If you don't start early enough, it's almost like you're at a disadvantage. Would you say that's the case?
Well, some of the drivers started later, some of the professional ones. But of course, the earlier you start, the better it is, because you are straight away in it, and you can have more experience over your life of doing different things. That's the way I see it. And on my side, I started when I was 4.5, so it's a long time ago. That time sat on a go-kart or something with 4 wheels that flies over curves and stuff. But it's been enjoying. It's been a hell of a ride, and I can't wait to get some more memories now.
Yeah. What about influences? Who were the guys that you looked at when you were watching it on TV?
Always been Michael. What if I said Johnny Abbott? Always been Johnny Abbott.
I know you'd be lying.
No,
John, you do yourself a disservice. You do yourself a disservice.
The truth, the truth does hurt. I can cope.
Sorry, mate.
That's okay.
No, it's always been Michael, and this is why, my helmet colors are always the same, which is the red fluo. Always come from Michael. That design, I always, I change few bits, to make it more suitable to me, but the base design is always his. And that was the guy I was always looking after when I was watching Grand Prix, and I had his small cars. I was playing with them in front of the TV while I was watching the Grand Prix. So yeah, fantastic.
What about those helmets behind you, Esteban? Can you tell us a little bit about them? Why are they special to you?
I show you. So this one is one of the first tests I've done in Formula One after the Lotus days.
If you want to grab them down, if you want to bring them down.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's the wrong brand at the moment, but that was 2016 test with Mercedes in Silverstone. So that was the one.
Okay.
This is French Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So 2018 French Grand Prix.
Yeah, remember that one.
Then we have Piece of Art, Fernando's from Mexico.
Nice.
So with a cool little word. Esteban, it's a pleasure to share the track with you. Looking forward to do many more again, Fernando. There it is.
Nice.
And
the point, Johnny, when I'll just do it again. I'll just get my Fernando cap out there. It's not quite how
I saw it was back.
There we go.
It doesn't say a pleasure to share the track with.
On the
last one.
And this one is probably the most important one in my collection. This one has won Formula 3 European Championship. It has won GP3 2015 and has done DTM half a year. So it's the longest helmet I kept and the one I won the most title with. So that one is pretty important.
Well, hopefully there's going to be many, many more of those to add to the
Hopefully.
I'm sure there will be. I'm sure there will be. Yeah, plenty. Well, I was going to say, I mean, I know you're probably hoping, Cyril, this is the start of a beautiful relationship, albeit a delayed start to that. You know, I know he's there, but you can say some nice things if you want. I mean, you must have high hopes for the future of Esteban.
Yeah, of course, and it's not just because he's there. He knows the job that he has. He know where we are, the journey, what he has to do on track, but also off track. You know, I'm not denying the fact that we are still in the making. There is still an awful lot that needs to be done at the team level, and we need aspirational drivers. You know, I don't believe, frankly, that it's just a job of a team principal to lead the team. It's actually probably more the job of a driver to also do that, because at the end of the day, we've got a bit more than 1,000 people who are working day in, day out for something, and that something is the two drivers who get the responsibility to drive the race car. So, you know, it's very much at the back of our mind when we go for drivers. Clearly, his pace, his talent, but also his attitude of track, and that's very much what I can already say about Esteban. I can't say much about the on track yet with us. Obviously, I know what he's done with Force India, with Manners, and previously in his career. But what he's done already with us is invaluable. I mean, the way that he walked into the factories, and maybe a bit more so in the French factory in Viry, and immediately the sort of halo of goodwill, of trust, of loyalty, of pride. That worked with him through the factory. It's quite unique. I mean, frankly, that was remarkable when, for the first time, Daniel walked into the factory in the UK in Enstone. But it's equally remarkable the sort of attitude of Esteban when he walked in the factory in France, probably for different reasons. But those two aspects, this combination, is very exciting to wait to see. I can't wait to see that in action. Unfortunately, I need to wait a bit more.
And Cyril, obviously with Danny Ric in the other seat, testing went very, very well. A lot of people are expecting you to do some really good things for the first couple of races. What's the situation with Danny Ric? How hard are you going to fight to keep him? Because there's already rumours about him moving on.
Well, yeah, I guess you're referring to the silly season that has started before the actual racing season. Now, is it the first time in history? Well, you know, it's we like Daniel. You know, I think Daniel embarked into a project that was very clear from day one, and that project is clearly unaccomplished, both at the team level and I guess also at Daniel's level. In particular, the circumstances are very strange in the fact that the season has not even started. So we are literally not even halfway, or just halfway into what we need to do together, and already we need to think about the future. And we're thinking collectively. I mean, it's I like to think that we can do more together, we can accomplish more together, get more results than what we've done so far. That's clearly the intention. But having said that, you know, we have a strategic plan. That plan was around substantial investment for the 2021 car. It happens that it's not 2022 because the rules are delayed by a year. It doesn't mean that we are dropping the ball on what we need to do this year and next year before 2022, because it's just iterative. That's very clear. We'd like Daniel to be part of that construction, but clearly we know that we need to focus on what's been missing so far to the team, and what's been missing is not the pace of the drivers, clearly. So the focus in the next 2 seasons will have to be on the hardware to make sure that any drivers that we have in the future get the best that we can offer, so that we can meet everybody's expectations, starting with mine, starting with Renault in 2022.
You said, though, Cyril, there's more to come. Recently being quoted as saying there's more to come on your journey or on Renault's journey with Daniel. However, pre-Corona, you were saying, look, it's going to be a judgment call on the first few races on his future because he's out of contract. Will his wage demands, do you think, be a problem going forward as we move into a post-Corona world and maybe a bit of a reset?
Well, I think we'd like, all of us would like to have a bit more information, more intelligence about the situation, as we indeed need to project ourselves in the future. As you were mentioning, Johnny, we were out from a good testing campaign, but left with absolutely no answer as to the actual competitiveness of the car and of the team. I think we would like to know more. But again, we will be focused on what we have to do, which is best for the team. That will be the team first. before any given individual. Even clearly, Daniel, like Esteban, have to play a huge role in what we need to do. And we've got, as everyone knows and expects, we've got a number of discussions, just like he's having a number of discussions. We also have an academy, a young driver academy, in which we have invested a lot. The purpose of that academy was to be able to bring a talent into Formula One by 2021. That 2021 is actually next year. That's another option. Whether it's an option that we take or not, we will see that later. But we can't have the whole process, the whole strategy of Renault be down to the decision of one single man. That's for sure. Even if that single man matters a lot to me.
Yeah, and Esteban, obviously having a teammate like Danny Rick, one part of it is what's it like working with him, and the second part is we all know you're a very, very hard racer. How much are you looking forward to racing, Danny Rick?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward, but not the first few times that we worked together. It's been really good. The energy in the team is very nice. At the factory, it's really good fun because you can't be mad at him at any point. It's just a laugh, that guy. The first time I met him at the factory, I don't know if I told you the story, but I turned around and I heard catch. And I got the bottle in the face. I didn't catch it, but that's the first time I saw him at the factory. So he's a good laugh. Once everything starts to get very professional, then he's very serious. But that's normal. We all want the same thing: is for us to be doing well on track. And I'm looking forward to racing. It's a great chance for me to be able to compare myself against one of the best. And I judge Daniel as one of the best. He's won races. He's done pole positions. So yeah, it's gonna be cool to work alongside him.
Tell me though, how proud does it make you both feel to be Frenchmen, one running for the French team and the other one driving for a French team? Does that, it's the kind of thing, isn't it? I suppose it's almost ideal for you to be in that position. Is this something that you dreamt about when you were kids?
Cyril, go ahead.
Start with that. I mean, it's a little bit like the Ferrari side of things, isn't it? I mean, if you're a passionate Italian, you want to drive for, or you want to work for Ferrari. Is that the same with Frenchmen and Renault? It has to be, hasn't it?
Well, I mean, if I go first, I mean, it's an honor, it's a responsibility also. But I hope I don't want to sort of summarize myself as just a Frenchman. I think we are in a global world. As my also last name will ring. I'm not just French. I happen to be born in Paris. Love Paris, miss Paris actually, but I have roots from lots of places. And don't forget that I'm also responsible of something like 750 people in UK, Oxfordshire, and I don't think you would want them to qualify them French. I'm not sure they would love that. And I care for them just like I care for the 400 people that we have down there in Viry. I care for people. I care for Renault. I care for that team that clearly in which I've been involved since day one, since we bought Lotus F1, from probably being put in an administration. So I feel I have huge responsibility, not just to my country, to Renault, to my partner, but also to this group of people.
And Esteban, obviously with being a Frenchman in a French team, you've got Cyril, your boss there, expecting big things from you. Can you use some of the experience that you had at Mercedes with Lewis and Valtteri, for example, and bring that across to the team?
Well, I will respond also to a question from Simon, but definitely, for me to work with Renault, it was something I was looking for a very long time. As you guys know, I was in the academy, of course, before when it was not Renault, but I was part of the Enstone group since I'm a kid, since 2010. And I've been spending a lot of time in that factory, seeing the race drivers, seeing the Formula One cars, seeing the engineers. Most of them are still there. And I was just dreaming, of being at that place in the future. In 2016, I was the reserve driver of the team of Renault when it came back. We've missed each other then for a couple of years, but finally we're able to work together, and I'm really happy with that. Then to respond to Johnny. Yes, last year was pretty tough for me, but I've learned a good amount of things. Of course, you need to be professional. When an engineer jumps from one team to another, they have to take a year out, I think. So it's a bit the same for a driver. You can't just go from one team to the other and just say everything. But of course, there are stuff I can carry, and that hopefully will help the team.
Okay, so I want to come back to you because you talked about the responsibilities that you feel and the love you feel to both Viri and to Enstone. I understand that, but I wonder how heavy the burden of 750,000 people and the cost cap has weighed on your shoulders. We've heard from Zach, Christian, Claire on this. What do you feel about the discussions? How they're progressing? The 145 million US, should it be lower? What's Renault's position on this?
Well, I think our position has not really changed. Actually, the crisis maybe has given more echo, and people have maybe joined up the position that we were defending since a while. Am I definitely in love with budget cap? Maybe not, but for me, there is absolutely no alternative to fix a problem that was created more than a decade ago with the previous Concord Agreement, which has really divided Formula One into multiple tiers. It was already the case in the history of Formula One, but not, in my opinion, to such an extent that there is absolutely no prospect to join the first tier if you're not part of it at the outset. So something that needed to be done. I'm glad that already a few months ago everyone had agreed for that principle of budget cap at a different level. I think crisis now came on the top of it and throwing an awful lot of unknown on the economic environment of Formula One. Not just short term. Short term, there is a huge unknown, or actually we start to know. We know it's going to look bad on the short term, very bad. But arguably, budget cap is not going to help with that because budget cap is for later. But I'm afraid that this crisis is going to hit Formula One sustainably. I really hope and believe that we can race again, but we all know that priorities may be reviewed of anyone who's contributing financially to the sport, from the fans to the sponsors, to the broadcasters, to the promoters. The value of risk will be reviewed. I think something that this crisis is showing was that risk was not properly assessed, in any type of activity, any type of project, or in the stock market. Risk will be reevaluated at its right level, and therefore we may not have access to the same cash flow liquidity as we had before. So I think important decision need to be taken. I hope that they are sufficient, but frankly, no one knows. So we stand by the budget cap principle. We stand by the figures that are being discussed, floated right now, and I understand that vote and closure will come on this. But I mean, whatever that is, 140, 130, whatever, roughly 150. Let's call it 150 for two racing car racing on Sundays. Even if that's Formula One, that's still an awful lot of technology that you can feature. So I don't see that as shocking to go down from where some people are to 150, even if I completely accept the effort it would take from them.
Okay, we're going to come to Esteban again in a minute, but I want to press you on this, Cyril, if I could. Renault's involvement in Formula One project, the project that is the race team, is that dependent entirely on the Concorde and how we come out of this? How we come out of this situation? Are there a lot more things to pass, or is the long-term future assured for the race team?
Well, I don't want to bore you to death with the corporate strategy of Renault. So no, it's really down to a number of factors, but. If I try to summarize, right now, every single one of those factors right now are pointing in the right direction, whether you're looking at budget cap, but also more reducing, containing the arms race on the engine development with dyno restriction, but also indeed Concorde with a better money distribution. So, all of that is heading in the right direction. On the basis that we took the decision to join the sport when it was what it is currently, which is broken is a bit exaggerated, but clearly with some element to be fixed and improved. If all of that is indeed being confirmed as we think it will be, clearly that's really putting in a safer place our commitment to Formula One. I guess the big unknown, which is a shared unknown for all of us, is really the actual magnitude of the crisis. We hope indeed that we can see the light in the next few weeks, in the next few months. If that's confirmed, for me, we will be able to resume almost normally, even if, again, in my opinion, there will still be some collateral, some side effect for multiple of years. But if the crisis were to last for very long, just to give you one example, the market in terms of sales of car sales in France were 88.8% down last month. So you can very see that if that was to last, that would be a problem, but not just for Formula One, for an awful lot of activities.
Sure. Okay.
What about drivers? Because that's something you've been very strong on in the past, about how we need to maybe cap the budget of drivers. Is that something that's moved forward in any way?
It's part of the debate. It's part of what's on the table, with additional complexity of legality. Let's call it. Let's be clear about that, because we need to make sure it's legal, in the sense that we need to make sure it's enforceable. And also the extra complexity that you have some drivers that have already a very long-term contract. So congratulations to Max in that respect. But I think we need to. If we need to make exception for a system that will be healthy and important for the sustainability of the sport, I think we still need to do it. We should not have, like we had a discussion with Daniel before. I mean, we should not have one given individual, one given situation. Current case Max contract or Charles contract with Ferrari, to block a process if it is the right process. And we think indeed that bringing a bit of rationality on driver's salary when a number of people will be laid off because of the budget cap would make sense.
Last one then. When can we get a decision? Next week, you think, on the cost cap, or at least an agreement? Is it very, very, is it imminent?
Not just my decision, as you know, Simon, but I understand that we are in a process that's going to bring some clarity in the course of the months, for sure. Okay,
great. Esteban, I'll come back to you. Just on, we're
no
hearing
problem.
a bit. Yeah, sorry about leaving you out there for a moment, but we're obviously important part of the discussions right now. But with regards to the drivers, we could be getting, Chase and Liberty and Form are talking about potentially going to tracks that aren't on the calendar. Should it suit? The list is endless. It could be Jerez, we could have Valencia, Estoril, you name it. We could be getting some of these. Does that excite you, actually? Just different tracks. Who knows where we could be going?
Well, I was not aware. You tell me a news there, so that would be fantastic. Of course, to discover new tracks. It's not really new tracks, but it's tracks that are probably historical. If we could get back to something like that, it would be fantastic, definitely. I heard also a lot of stuff like going backwards on some tracks and like Silverstone on the other way. I don't know if that's possible, but
no.
Any way possible to restart racing, I'm happy anyway. So let's do it.
Sure. What about, you talk about bonds there? What about bonds with drivers on the esports side of things? Because that was something I know you was involved with sort of originally. How do you think?
I saw that.
How popular has that been?
Yeah, it's getting very serious. The level is extremely high. I've done a couple of races myself. It's been fun, but it takes you a lot of times because, of course, testing is not restricted. So you spend hours doing that, and you don't see the light when you prepare a race. But no, it's fantastic. It helps you to just stay quick in your mind, have the good reactions, of course. The good racing spirit and competition, that's what we love as athlete and as sportsman. So it's definitely great, and it's a great time to be let's say in lockdown 30 years ago. I don't know what we would have done as racing drivers.
And what about the relationships between all the drivers? Because when I hear you talking online, it seems as if the bond's actually been stronger than what it was beforehand.
What do you mean? Sorry?
The bond between each driver, because when you're
yes.
talking to each other, it sounds as if you are the best of pals. Has that changed in any way?
Well, I think there is a good bunch of drivers, actually that are just talking, having fun. Of course, we are all having fun together. We all speak together. But once it comes to the right lap in qualifying, I mean, no one is talking. So it's still the same. We still want to be on top of the other one, and that's normal.
Brilliant stuff. We were asking for lots of questions from the public to you guys. We got a few, but Cyril, you got about 10 from one lady called Joanne. I don't know if you're aware of her. She's a massive fan. She says, "Do you like her Team Cyril banner?" She's got a letter she wants to send to you. When are you going to be at very next? And will you be taking part in a virtual race? I hope I'm not embarrassing you, but I think you might have a fan there in Joanne.
I think I do. Absolutely. But I know Joanne, and hi, Joanne. I hope you're keeping well with the family.
Yeah, she is. Thank you, guys. Listen, a pleasure. Just before we go, what are we thinking? Everyone gearing up for Austria. Yeah, that's the focus. We're all hoping we're going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's certainly what we understand from Formula One. That's the plan that we are making. We still a couple of gaps to fill from a logistic perspective and health and safety perspective, but we're certainly fully supportive of that prospect and of that plan.
Yeah, Esteban, are you going to be ready for that? I'm sure you are, aren't you?
Fingers crossed, we're going to be there. But yes, if we restart tomorrow, I'm ready. I've been waiting for that time since a lot of time, more than any other drivers on the grid. So yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, God, yeah, I hope it works out for you when we get there. I really do.
Thank you.
And it's been a long time coming. Esteban, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate
Pleasure.
it. Cyril, the same, and to you, Johnny, thanks for your time. Just to point you in the direction of a couple of things coming away this week in the esports race. I'm a Man City fan, so I've got to say I'll be rooting for Sergio Aguero because he's going to be racing the weekend. And keep an eye out for the next live F1 show on Monday. Plus, we've got lots of programming next week in accordance with the 70th anniversary of Formula One. So some special programming there. Thanks to our friends, as I said, across the channel. We will see you on Monday. From us all here. Bye-bye.
Thank you.